Welcome to Testing Your Apps for Accessibility, the ArcGIS Online approach. My name is Krista McPherson, and I am a holistic testing product engineer working with the ArcGIS Online and Configurable Apps team.
And hi, my name is Sarah McDonald. I am also a holistic testing product engineer working with ArcGIS Online with a focus in configurable apps.
This presentation will provide a high-level overview of web accessibility along with testing workflows related to vision impairment, keyboard navigation, and screen readers. Web accessibility is a vast topic which we cannot fully cover in this presentation. We will cover several key testing workflows that will help you to gain a better understanding of how to improve the experience of your web app for all users. We'll start off with an introduction to accessibility on the web. The term accessibility often makes us think of accommodations in the physical world, such as a ramp for wheelchair access or signs that use Braille. These tools remove barriers to access and help to make the world perceivable, understandable, and interactive for all. Accessibility is a key component in the digital world as well as the physical. Considering accessibility when designing and developing user experiences online gives more people the opportunity to contribute to the web. So why is testing for accessibility important? If your app works for most users, isn't that enough? Let's take a look at accessibility by the numbers. Approximately 1 billion people worldwide live with a disability, making the disabled community the largest minority in the world, according to the World Bank. A World Health Organization study predicts that 2 billion people in the world will need at least one assistive product by the year 2030. 25 countries and jurisdictions currently have web accessibility laws and policies, including the US, the UK, the EU, Canada, Japan, and Brazil. Up to 20% of web traffic to any given site could come from a person with a disability. Considering accessibility in your design, development, and testing process broadens your audience, increases the likelihood of compliance with national and international policy, and leads to a more inclusive experience for all. We will be providing examples of a few accessibility issues for each category and how to identify them. Let's start off with vision impairment testing, which will focus on testing for color blindness and low vision accessibility. The tools available for vision impairment testing vary depending on the browser and operating system that you are using to test. Low vision and color blindness simulators can help you to visualize the impact of vision impairment and color blindness in your app and understand where improvements can be made. For this demo, we will be using a vision impairment simulator called No Coffee, which is an extension available for Google Chrome. Contrast analyzing tools are available throughout the web and can help you determine if contrast between text color and background color is sufficient for colorblind users to be able to read. For this demo, we will use Color Contrast Analyzer, an application available for Mac. Individuals with low vision will often utilize zoom tools available in their preferred browser and their OS to interact online. Performing tests with these tools can help to ensure that your app will be usable for these individuals. Today, we will be testing with zoom tools available in Google Chrome and on Mac OS X. Let's discuss some key issues to look out for when testing for colorblind accessibility. Color should not be the only means of communicating information. Messages, changes to content, and information communicated using color should also use some other means of communication, such as text or patterns, to make this information accessible to users with color vision deficiency. You can see here it becomes difficult to discern features in a map that only uses color when viewed without color vision. Additionally, according to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, also known as WCAG, the color of text and images of text must have at least a contrast ratio of 4.5 to 1 compared to the color of the background. Large text must have a contrast of 3 to 1 to its background. On the left is an image of an app with the title text in white on a dark gray background, which meets the recommended contrast ratio standards. The title on the right is gray on a dark gray background, which does not meet the minimum contrast ratio. While discussing color contrast ratios, I want to point out that the shared theme option available in the settings for your ArcGIS Online organization inform you if your chosen colors meet minimum contrast standards. This can be a great option if you want to set up an accessible color combination that you can later apply to all apps in your organization. Regarding low vision accessibility, it's important to ensure reflow without loss of content. When zoom is enabled, the position of elements in an app should adapt in order to maintain functionality. This concept is called reflow. Pages should reflow in a way that prevents the user from having to scroll in both vertical and horizontal directions to access all functionality. The image on the left shows an attachment viewer app at 100% zoom. The gallery of attachments takes up about 1/3 of the screen, and the map takes up the remaining real estate. When the browser is set to 250% zoom or more, the view of the app is rearranged. Buttons appear at the bottom of the screen for the map description, the attachment gallery, and the map itself, ensuring that all app functionality is available at a higher level of zoom. Next, content that appears upon hover or keyboard focus should be able to be understood by someone using zoom tools. This content should be able to be dismissed by the user without moving the mouse pointer. Additional content that is made available upon hover should be able to be moved over with the mouse pointer without disappearing. Content should persist until the user dismisses it. The image on the left displays a tooltip in the configuration panel with no zoom tools enabled. The image on the right shows the same section of the configuration panel with a picture-in-picture magnification tool enabled. This window follows the mouse pointer as the user navigates. You can see that part of the tooltip is cut off, and the user would need to move their mouse over the content in order to be able to read it. We will explore this further in the following demo. Here we are in the configuration panel of the Interactive Legend app. I have a map here of Zion National Park. You can see that this app is currently in draft status, indicated by the purple flag at the bottom of the configuration panel. Let's see how this looks with no color vision. I have added the aforementioned No Coffee extension to Google Chrome, which you can see has several options for vision impairment simulation. We will go to the color deficiency dropdown and choose achromatopsy or no color. What you can see here is that the draft badge is still meaningful without its color, due to the save icon and the text included. We will go ahead and publish the application to observe how this badge changes. Now that the app is in a published state, the badge has changed. The lock icon indicates that changes have been saved, and the badge reads as published. We will go ahead and disable color deficiency simulation and take a look at zoom tools. I have my accessibility preferences set to enable picture-in-picture zoom by keyboard shortcut. You can see that with this tool, you only get a partial view of the information in the configuration panel, and you need to move over text to be able to read it. Let's take a look at a tooltip here in the About section. It can be challenging to get all information into view at once, which is why it is important that this message persists until dismissed by the user. If this tooltip were to close when the mouse moved away, this information wouldn't be accessible to someone using this tool. You see here that the user has two options to dismiss the tooltip, either by clicking on the X on the right-hand side or by clicking on the same button used to open the tooltip. I will disable my zoom tool and we'll take a look at the published app. I have opened Color Contrast Analyzer, which I will use to test the contrast ratio of my app title by clicking on the eyedropper icon and choosing my foreground color, then my background color. This tool tells me if my title meets various standards from the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1. I can see here that my title passes for large text, but not for regular text or for enhanced accessibility. I don't need to change this, but if I wanted to, I could use the color sliders to find exact color values that I could use to improve the readability of my title. This tool can be helpful in exploring your options for choosing an accessible color combination. It gives you a clear indication of which standards the colors passed and the exact contrast ratio. I will close this tool for now and we'll take a look at zoom in the browser. Here we will be observing the impact of zooming in with the browser settings. I will start here by opening some of the tools in the app so we can observe the changes. We will be zooming the browser in to 250%, which can be a good level for testing, but it is important to keep in mind that individuals with vision impairment could be using a zoom level of up to 400%. We see that the introduction panel now fills the screen. All buttons, icons, and text have adapted to a higher level of zoom. There is no requirement for the user to scroll in multiple directions to access all functionality. This is an example of successful reflow in response to zoom.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at keyboard navigation. So, as stated in its name, keyboard navigation ensures that any given content on a web page can be accessed purely by using a keyboard. Keyboard navigation is relied upon by a wide breadth of users using assistive technologies. Some users may even rely upon keyboard navigation due to preference or efficiency. With keyboard navigation, there are a few factors to key in on. 1. All actionable or interactive elements in a page should be accessible by a keyboard. 2. While navigating throughout a page, there should be a visual indicator of focus. I have added below a few examples of focus. In the image on the left, the focus indicator is a blue highlight around the Select Theme drop-down menu. In the image on the right, a green outline is being used to indicate the focus. Number 3. We will also want to make sure that while we are navigating, the order makes sense. The focus order should move from left to right or top to bottom on a page. While using keyboard navigation, there are a few common keys typically used. Tab and Shift tab, which moves focus to and from the next interactive elements on a page. The space bar, which can act to check a box or click a button. Enter, which can click on links, buttons, or autocomplete while entering text into a text box. Escape, which can be used to close out of a window or a modal in a page. And the up, down, left, and right arrows. These actions can be used while interacting with radio buttons or sliders in a web page, or even menus in a web page. Let's go ahead and take a look at an example of testing keyboard navigation in a configurable app.
In this demo, we are working with the Interactive Legend configurable app in its configuration panel. The first thing we will want to find is where the focus is currently at. Note that it is currently on the Map tab in the action bar. For the purpose of this demo, my goal is to enable the layer list and help panel tools in the app. So let's go back to the focus. I know that the layer list tool is located in the interactivity section under the modify subsection. So I am going to use the tab button to navigate to the interactivity tab in the action bar. Since the focus is on the map tab, I'll need to tab through the maps section to get back to the action bar. Once I get on the Interactivity tab, I will hit the Enter key to open the section. Now that the Interactivity section is open, I will use the Tab button to get to the Modify subsection. I'm going to hit the Enter key again to open the Modify subsection. Now I'm going to use the Tab key to navigate to the Layer List tool. Now that I'm on the tool, I'm going to go ahead and use the space bar to toggle the tool on. And now we can see that the Layer List tool is showing up here in the app. With the Layer List tool enabled, I can move on to enabling the Help Panel tool. I already know that the Help Panel tool is located in the Explore and Navigate subsection in the Interactivity section. So I'm going to use Shift-Tab to navigate to the back button. Notice that once I go back, the focus returns to the previous button I was on before entering the subsection. Now, I'm going to go into the Explore and Navigate subsection to enable the Help Panel tool. And here I'll use the spacebar again to toggle the tool on. And now we have the Help Panel tool.
Let's move on to another powerful assistive technology, screen readers. Screen readers are technology that help to relay information audibly to users that might have low or no vision. Screen readers work to convert strings available on a page into speech. They also can provide other descriptive text about elements on a web page to users. Screen readers often will utilize a keyboard to navigate through a web page while listening for elements or actions in that page. A lot of the keys used to navigate through a page using a screen reader are similar to keys that we covered in the keyboard navigation, like Tab and Shift Tab to move to and from items on a page. There are a few common screen readers. These screen readers include JAWS, a screen reader that works with most browsers available for Windows operating systems, VoiceOver, the native screen reader with Mac operating systems, Non-Visual Desktop Access, or NVDA, a free screen reader available for Windows operating systems, and Narrator, a native screen reader available with Windows operating systems. While using a screen reader, there are a few key factors that you'll want to listen for. Regions, headings, and lists. These descriptors can help users to understand where in a web page they are, or how content is combined, or the hierarchy of content and its structure. Alt text, which helps to describe images or graphics that don't have text associated with it. This also might just be to say, this is a decorative image. Name, state, and roles. These help users to understand more about the elements that they are focused on. This could be an active button or a drag and drop element. ARIA labels. These are descriptive elements that will be used to describe buttons, links, radio buttons, whether something is disabled, or if something is a multi-value. Let's go ahead and take a look at headings, regions, and lists. Starting with regions, these are known as areas on a page that contain blocks of content, but also provide some form of visual structure. This could be letting a user know they are in the header of a page, then explaining what is on the page based on the header's content, or letting them know that they've entered the main stage of a page. Next, we will move to headings. Headings are used as a sort of outline on the page. This outline can be used to communicate important sections on a web page. I like to think of headings as a sort of table of contents for a web page. One of the items we will cover in the demo following this slide will be the headings menu that we get when we use a screen reader. Finally, lists. Lists can help to convey an arrangement or cluster of content on a web page. There are typically three types of lists: unordered lists, ordered lists, and description lists. Unordered lists include content that has no distinct structure or sequence. Ordered lists are essentially the opposite. These lists typically follow a sequence or have items in some form of a rank. Description lists pair an item of importance with a description to follow. I like to think of this like a glossary of terms at the end of a book. Now, let's go ahead and take a closer look at using the headings menu with an interactive legend configurable app. For this demo, I am using VoiceOver as my screen reader. In the application in this demo, I want to utilize the interactive legend to only show trails in Zion National Park that allow for horse use. As you can see in the app, there are a few layers that I would need to navigate through to get to the trails layer in the interactive legend. I am going to demonstrate how the use of headings and the headings menu can expedite the process of navigating through a page. One thing to look for when I open the headings menu will be the headings levels, like 1 or 2. I am going to turn on the screen reader now.
Default map view button. Zoom in button. Zoom in. You are currently on a headings menu. Heading level 1 2 items. Zion National Park features. Heading level 2 Water Springs. Heading level 2 Park Tracts. Heading level 2 Park Trails. Heading level 2 Park Trails. You are current heading level 2 Park Trails. Allowed button. You are currently on a button inside of web content. To click this button, press Ctrl Option Space to press Allowed button.
As you saw in the demo, I was able to quickly access the Trails layer in the interactive legend by using the headings menu. Without the use of the headings menu, I would have had to navigate from the Home Extent tool, the Zoom in and out tools, the Help panel, and the layers listed before the Trails layer in the interactive legend. I also want to point out the hierarchy in the headings menu. In the demo, there were only items at heading levels 1 and 2, but headings levels can range from 1 to 6, with 1 typically being used for the title or header of a page, and 2 through 6 levels being used for sub-content. Now that we have taken a look at headings, I'm going to pass the mic over to Krista to talk about alt text and component states names and roles.
As discussed earlier, alternative text is an important component in considering screen reader users. All images and non-text content should have a text alternative that serves an equivalent purpose to the visual image and should allow individuals without vision to understand the content. Here you see a screenshot of the code snippet for an image that is labeled with a description of the photo. We will look at how alt text should be applied to icons as well as images in the upcoming demo. Next, interactive elements should be properly labeled with a name, state, and role that can be read aloud by a screen reader. This allows screen readers to communicate the description, status, and purpose of the tool, and helps the screen reader user to understand the item that is receiving focus. This slide contains a screenshot of the code for the interactive legend button. The name of the element is defined by the title Open Interactive Legend, which is a meaningful description of the control. The state of the element is defined by true or false in the ARIA expanded label, which lets the user know what will happen or change when they interact with that element. In this example, the ARIA expanded value is false, meaning that the element is currently collapsed but could be expanded upon interaction. The role label indicates that this is a button, which informs the screen reader user what types of interactions are allowed. We will explore this further in the following demo. Let's take a look at navigating non-text content in the configuration panel with VoiceOver for Mac. I will be enabling the screen reader with the share modal open to demonstrate the importance of alt text for icons, like this copy link icon here.
VoiceOver on System Preferences, Accessibility window, Accessibility Chrome, https://webapps.maps. https://webapps.maps.ar Copy application link button. You are currently on a button inside of web content. To click this button, press Ctrl Option Space. To exit this web area, press Ctrl Option Shift up arrow. Twitter button, LinkedIn button, Facebook button, email button. You are currently on a button inside of web content. VoiceOver off.
You can see how these descriptions would be critical for a non-sighted user to navigate the configuration panel. Next, let's use the screen reader to navigate in the Published app.
Default Map View button. You are currently on a button inside of web content. Zoomed in button. Zoomed out button. Info. Collapsed button. Open Introduction Panel button. Search. Collapsed button. Search. Expanded button. Search. You are currently on a button inside of web content. Search. Collapsed button. VoiceOver off.
You can see that the name, state, and role of the search button provided the information necessary for non-sighted users to interact with search. We have provided several examples of ways to test the accessibility of your app. Being aware of how accessibility testing tools and assistive technologies interact with your app is the first step towards improving accessibility in the user experience. Web accessibility standards are constantly evolving, and as with any type of software development, there can be many ways to solve a single problem. This provides an opportunity to create new solutions and to continually improve upon an inclusive experience for all. This concludes our presentation today, but there is much more to explore and learn about web accessibility. A list of references to the information provided in this presentation and additional resources for further learning will be made available to you. Thank you for watching and enjoy the conference proceedings.